Good morning. I'm going to demonstrate the GAEP crimping procedure with the MEC Grabber. I'll show you some equipment, go through about 10 shells, and give you a narration. I just bought a new Wen bench drill press. Reason for the bench drill press is that the final BN2 GAEP Crimp is on the drill press, and also there's a holder that keeps the hull still during the drill press. This is my grabber machine. There's a series of hulls. I marked these when I reload them. These have been shot once and reloaded once. MEC machine. Take off the cover. I keep shot and powder in the machine. I'm using the DramWorks bottles. They stay on well, don't move. I have a few primers already in there. These are Cheddite primers. I have the machine set up somewhat differently. The first 1, 2, 3, 4 stations are set up with the MEC equipment. The pre-crimp, I'm using the MEC pre-crimp, although I have used the GAEP pre-crimp and it works about the same. I have taken off the crimp and the station 6 piece, and I've replaced the crimp with the GAEP Rebassatory. I'll show you what it does, but the GAEP Rebassatory puts a ridge around the edge of the pre-crimp that gives you a nice place for the rolled in crimp. All right, I'm going to stop, take a couple pictures, and then I'll set up for the start. There are 3 parts to the GAEP system for doing crimp. The first is called the rotating star crimper. This is for the pre-crimp, is pushed down on a hull. I don't have this set up, but it's pushed down on a hull and it forms the pre-crimp. There is a 6-point or 6-star rotating shell crimper to make 6-point star crimps or 6-point fold crimps, and there's an 8-point rotating star crimper. If you're using new hulls that have not been used before, then to make 8-point crimps, you use the 8-point rotating star crimp. To make 6-point crimps, you use a 6-point. Unlike the MEC machine, the 8-point star crimper will do appropriate crimps on both 8-point and 6-point used hulls. MEC has an analogous 6-point and 8-point pre-crimp station. This is called the Spindex crimper. Pops off. Like the 8-point rotating star crimper, there's an 8-point Spindex crimper. And like the 6-point rotating star crimper, there's a 6-point Spindex crimper. You know, as you can see the points in the crimper. I mentioned this before. On a shell that's already been shot, the 12-point star crimp by GAEP will work on both 12-point and 6-point hulls. I also have a 6-point star crimp. The 12-point and the 6-point will do differently on new hulls. The MEC 6-point and 12-point cannot be interchanged on previously shot hulls. The 12-point has to go with, the 8-point has to go with the 8-point, and the 6-point has to go with the 6-point. If you put the 6-point with the 8-point or the 8-point with the 6-point, you'll get messed up crimps. The first 3 stations, D prime, prime, shot, and wad, are done just like the MEC. The 4th station is the pre-crimp station. I have found that the MEC Spindex and the GAEP rotating star crimper work about the same. So I have just left the MEC Spindex on the machine to use it. The crimp step the pre-crimp step I use is the same as the pre-crimp step. Uses the MEC Spindex. You pull down. The pre-crimp step that I use is the same as the MEC pre-crimp. And it uses the MEC Spindex in order to get the pre-crimp. When you pull down, then you have a nice pre-crimp. The second step in the MEC procedure is the crimp step. This is called the cam crimp assembly, and it provides the initial crimp following the pre-crimp step. Handle is pulled down, shell goes in, and the crimp is made. I'm not going to make the crimp in this shell. Pretty clear how this is done and how this works. I have removed the cam crimp assembly and replaced it with a GAEP tool. The second step in the GAEP procedure is with a tool called the Ribassatore. The Ribassatore has a flat center and a small ridge, a small insert around that center. The insert creates a flat ridge around the outside of the radius, and the center creates a cone in the pre-crimp. The Ribassatore is placed in the location of the cam crimp assembly, and it simply replaces it. During a procedure following the pre-crimp, the shell is rotated to the position underneath the Ribassatore. Pull down, lift up, and we have the stage after the Ribassatore. There's a cone in the center, and there's an edge around the radius of the crimp. The edge forms the roll, is rolled over in the next step, and that's one of the things that gives the BN2 leverage to make a nice roll around the edge of the crimp. Following the Ribassatore step, the shell is rotated to the number 1 position and pulled off. In a separate part of this video, I have an example of loading 10 shells progressively, and you can see how the procedure works. The last step of the procedure is done on a drill press. I have a Wen variable speed drill press to do this. there's a small shell holder that will hold the hull in place. And this is the GAEP star/roll crimp. It will work both on rolled crimps and on star crimps or petal crimps. I'm going to take this off and show it to you. Drill chuck, key. Basically, it looks a little bit like the Rebassator with the flat center and then it indented around the edge. This will make either a roll crimp, which is often used for certain kinds of shells, or the star crimp or petal crimp that's typical in target shot shells. Back into the drill press and put my chuck key away. The last step, using the BN2, the shell is placed in the holder, drill is on, and lowered until it contacts the hull and makes the final crimp. Two things about this procedure. One is there's a drill lock that will allow the drill only to go down so far. This creates a constant depth for the crimp, and I think it's like 0.05 or 0.06 inches. The second thing is this heats up and we don't want to get it too hot, so we use 3-in-1 oil, put it on an old rag, either wipe the BN2 or you wipe the top of your shell. Start the machine. Pull the machine down until the stop hits. And we have a nice rolled edge 8-point star crimp. I'll just mention one thing. This is done at 1100 RPMs, and the nice thing about this machine is that you can adjust this to exactly 1100 RPMs, and it goes up and down a little bit during the crimping procedure, but that's a nice feature. My previous machine had belts, and you had to change the belt to a belt drive that was 1100 RPMs. One note about equipment: the MEC progressives have a separate step. This is called the finishing die. The finishing die puts a type of taper on the shell to try to simulate the roll taper. It's not a true roll taper. It's flat. A flat press thing cannot make a roll taper, but it does simulate it well enough so that the shells will go easily into OUs and semi-automatics. That is taken out. You may have noticed that when we did the Rebassator step, and move the shell with the Rebassator to this position. In the progressive, this position does not have anything in it, so nothing will happen. and we move the shell in the progressive setup to the last station, and then remove it with the rebasitory finished. I'm going to do 10 hulls. I'll do 10 because that will get me through the progressive part of the machine. I'll show you some of the parts of the machine as I do it. Hull is placed in station 1. At station 1, when the handle is pulled down, the hull is deprimed and a primer falls down. Move it around to station 2. The primer goes in the primer hole. Put in another empty hull. When there's a hole in the second slot that's going to be have the primer set, the release bar is supposed to release. Mine releases sometimes, and sometimes it releases when there's no hole there. And we'll go ahead and do one. Go down, the primer's set, and I usually take the release bar and pull it down. When the charge bar goes to the right, the powder is in the hull. Move the hulls to the next position. Put in a new empty hull. Grab a wad. Wad goes into the wad position. When I pull down, the shot bar drops the shot. And then the charge bar releases, putting powder into the second position. Rotate again. Put in an empty hull. Place a wad. Charge bar. This is the pre-crimp. I'm using the pre-crimp of the MEC station, and this is what the pre-crimp looks like. The pre-crimp of the MEC station and the pre-crimp of the GAEP look about the same. The GAEP has a 6-point and an 8-point crimp, and the 8-point crimp on the GAEP works identically on 6-point and 8-point reloaded hulls. I'm turning to the next position. Put in a new hull. This last step over here in the machine is the rebasitory. I'll try to do this by holding the camera. I'm first going to, let's see, find a way to hold the camera. All right. Wad is in place. I've manually placed a wad inside the hull so I can hold the camera and show you the rebasitory step. All right, here we go. Hold down, that's the rebasitory going down. When it's lifted up, you can see the results of the rebasitory. The volcano part is from the pre-crimp, and the flat part around the edge is from the rebasitory. Now I'm going to do 5 more shells in sequence and just go through the shells without any comment. Finished shell. I put my finished shells in a shell. There's also another finished shell here in the station 6 spot. Finished. 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 Hey, good. Finished.
Atlanta's business elite mingled over champagne, making deals and trading in girls. Trevor held Keisha's hand on one side and Zoe on the other.
I have 2 left. I did not put the wads out, but so I'm pulling them out of the bag. I usually have them all out. I'm going to turn off the primer tray. Finished. All right, the last hole, I make sure that the release bar stopper is set. There we go, there's 10 completed. The lines on here are marks. That means they've been reloaded once. I mark all my reloads, keep track of how many times they've been reloaded. Some people don't do that. Felt tip marker. That's been loaded twice. That's been loaded twice. It's pretty easy to see the 2 marks, and when I'm evaluating the shells for whether they're okay to reload again. Next step is the drill. Basically, I'm going to hold the shell in this holder, pull down on the drill handle, and the drill, the BN2, which is the taper crimp, roll crimp GAEP device, will put the finished crimp on this shell. Keep a used rag. This is actually the end of a shot bag. Put some oil on the rag. Put oil on the BN2, which stops the shells from heating up and provides a smooth function on the BN2. I do oil on every 10 shells, so I'll do all 10. 5 shells in my hand at once. Shell goes into the holder. BN2 is pulled down a couple times. There we go. That's the crimp. Put that back. That's it. I put this in a small holder that can be used with boxes, with shot boxes, shot shell boxes. Second one. Crimp. Verbassatori. Crimp. Crimp. Shot shells are now in a holder with the crimp alternating with the base and the top. That's 10. This holder holds 25 shells and a box goes over the top of the holder with the 25 shells, and they're put in the box. That's it. I have a drawer full of parts, unused parts and to be used parts. The finishing die and the cam crimp assembly go in this drawer for future. I have extra Spindex crimps. I have a number of packages with various things bought to replace something. Rubber bands to go around my primer tray. The old style grommets. A bushing holder. By the way, there was a post on bushing holders. I don't use mine because I only use 2 bushings. A baffle that I used to have that would help powder drop. Instead of the holder, I used to use a holder that snapped. It was cumbersome to keep opening and closing it. A primer punch replaced with the CRS primer punch. Charge bar designed for HEPR 7.5. A 1 ounce charge bar. No, a default 1 1/8 ounce charge bar, which does not work with HEPR shot. I have nearly every bushing. For a while, I was trying different bushings and didn't know what. Now I only use 1 bushing type for rim shells and another bushing type for BMP shells. That's about it for the MEC products.